Hey everyone, it's Patricia from TarantulaHeaven.com. Right here, moving around, or was moving around, we have Spidey, my Rosea, Chilean rose hair. She's being a little active, so that's great. I love it when she does that on videos. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about some things that I found in renting an apartment and having a tarantula while having a kitten. And it's so funny because as I write this, Hiss is looking right at me. She's my kitten. It's almost like she knows that I'm talking about her and her demonic behavior. You probably will hear her playing with her toys in the background. But yes, so I have a kitten. She's almost a year old now, and it has been a journey. If you guys have been on this channel before, you know that I had Ava, who was like my very, very senior kitty, 19 and a half years old. Ava was not a problem in terms of my tarantula keeping because she slept like 99% of the time and had no interest in expending any more energy than was absolutely necessary. So she did not have any interest in Spidey. Spidey was not exciting to her. Hiss is different. Hiss has a prey drive that is scary sometimes. And so I've had to keep Spidey in my closet because I'm currently looking for a display case, trying to find the perfect one. And I have seen many tarantula owners go through unfortunate circumstances where even though they've had a great display case or system or shelving system, things still happen, like their cat knocks over the shelving system or bookcase or whatever, or still finds a way to tip things over. So cats are a huge danger to tarantulas because they're just so curious and they can get into so many things. So I've actually found a few solutions that I'm either going to try in the future or have already done, and I wanted to share those with you. Because I do think that with the housing crisis right now, a lot of people are renting or will be renting, and it's important to know that you can protect your pets without necessarily drilling a bunch of holes in the wall in your rental and not getting your security deposit back. So a few things that I've already done are, so for example, I had bought a bookcase, which has now just become like a shrine for all of my stuff about Ava. But I had originally intended that this bookcase would be the place that I put Spidey. And I totally did not think that decision through because her enclosure doesn't even fit in the bookcase. I just assumed that with my eyes that it would be a great fit, not really recognizing that this enclosure was actually a bit wider than the bookcase. Quite bad spatially, not my strongest skill. So now I have an extra bookcase. But even before I realized that, okay, this is not going to be the display that I intended, I was thinking like, okay, so if Hiss learns that she can jump up on counters, on bookcases, on shelves, which she eventually will, unfortunately, how do I prevent her from, one, getting to Spidey, but two, tipping these things over? Because I also want to be concerned about her safety too. So one thing that I did was I did put these like wedges underneath certain bookcases or shelving units that I have in my apartment. This is not the best solution, but it is something that I think can discourage furniture from tipping over. In homes or apartments, your flooring is not always going to be 100% even. So a lot of times we do need something to either help balance things out if like furniture is like tipping a little bit because the floor is maybe not even, or it could just be like that one extra thing that makes something tilt a certain way and make it easier for it to fall over. So I found that having the wedges underneath and having that be like an extra thing or extra obstacle for the weight of the bookcase has been helpful. And these are like just a little wedges that servers use in restaurants to like make tables even if they're tipping. So that's been a little solution, not one that I would recommend by itself, but something that can give you a peace of mind. I've also thought of, in terms of protecting your tarantulas from your cats, if you have your tarantula in a specific room that has a door, you may want to, and I've done this not necessarily for this reason, for different reasons because of Hiss scratching the door and stuff, but I've added like, what is it called? A door draft stopper. These are things that either like attach to the door and cover up the gap between the door and the floor, if there is a gap. Or, what is she doing? she's running around. His sis is running around right now. Or they don't necessarily have to attach to the door. That you can just kind of slide them under the door, and there's two pieces that kind of create this, what's the word I'm looking for? Create this door stopping thing. I don't know. And the reason that I think that's a great solution is if your tarantula does happen to escape and they're in this room, closing the door may not, or having a door that's closed may not actually solve the problem, because tarantulas can, especially if they're small, get through a lot of different things, and they will find escape routes. And if your tarantula happened to get out of that door or out of that room, it's going to be a free-for-all for your cat. So that may just be an extra layer of protection in terms of like, this doesn't cause any damage in the apartment at all, or at least the ones that slide under don't cause any damage. I will say that when I tried to use the ones that stick to the door, a little bit of the paint came off, which I'm going to have to fix when I took it off to test it. So not completely damage proof, but better than putting holes in the wall. You can fix the door, you can paint. So that's a solution. And I think it does make it safer for the tarantula. Like, that tarantula is not leaving that room if it gets out of its enclosure. So as long as your cat is not allowed in that room, or is not left in that room alone, your tarantula should be okay until you find them and return them to their enclosure. Another thing that you can do, and this is something that I have the most faith in as a solution, if you have shelving units or bookcases, even ones that don't go all the way to the ceiling, like honestly, any shelving unit can fall over and either hurt your cat, your child, your tarantula, if their enclosure is in that shelving unit. They actually make these rent-friendly wall anchors. So basically there's a piece that attaches to the furniture, like it sticks on, or you can also like drill it on or whatever if you don't mind hurting your furniture, and then attaches onto the wall. And so even if, let's say your cat does jump on the bookcase and it wants to tip, it can't. So that anchor is supposed to really stick it to the wall. And so I do think that those things are helpful just in terms of like an extra safety measure. I have used those in my apartment, and I've tried a few different types. I will put them here. The ones that I have right now, I'll have a picture of. I like these the most because you can adjust how tight you want it to be. I really like that feature. I haven't taken them off just yet, so I can't vouch for if there's actually not going to be any damage to the paint. But like I said, I do think that this is better than putting holes in the wall. So if it's just a matter of repainting, then that is something that I can handle. And I think most apartment buildings do tend to repaint anyway if you've been there for a while. So it may not even be too much of an issue for your landlord. Another thing that I would suggest, and this is likely what I will do when I do finally have found the glass display case that I want for Spidey, so that I can look at her and know that his cannot get her, is to do some childproof or like locking mechanisms. Even if your enclosure or your case has doors, I have heard of cats getting in these things. They're just so good when they want to do something that they're not supposed to do. So I would suggest putting child locks on there or some sort of extra method of safety. Do not ever trust your cat. And I think that's something that I'm learning with his. Now that I have a more active cat, she just has a mind of her own and doesn't care. So you want to kind of think about every particular scenario. Don't put it past your cat, or even your kids, to be honest, to stay away from things that make them curious. So those are my ideas. I would love to know what you guys think. These are just things that I found. I will probably find more once I get like that actual display case and see, oh yeah, his is going to learn how to do that or that. So maybe I'll update this video at a later time, but let me know what you guys have done in terms of kind of like cat proofing your apartments or homes for your tarantulas, because I honestly think that in terms of predators, I think cats tend to be the worst, the ones that I see the most often for tarantulas. And it's really heartbreaking, because I imagine that it's really heartbreaking to love your cat, but also know that your cat has killed or really hurt another creature that you loved. And I don't think anybody wants to be in that position. And also your cat could get hurt. All sorts of things can happen. So if we can avoid it, why wouldn't we want to try? So those are my suggestions. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear it. And I'll see you next week for Tarantula Tuesday. Take care. Bye.